they went to this middle school classroom, and they were bigger than everybody else, taller, okay, which means they have more awareness. And was it so that in this classroom or this school, whatever, so the person that he was with was his friend that was tall also? Also, I'm assuming that, in other words, his friend also has some awareness. They're bigger. It's all about awareness, okay? And so then they saw the teacher go in front of a mirror or whatever. I'm assuming that you're familiar with the Dracula movies. Well, those are the vampire movies. And sometimes in the vampire movies, when Dracula or one of the vampires, especially Dracula, is standing in front of a mirror, you cannot see him, can you? That is reflection, okay? But I'm just saying that there's something else going on besides the normal reflection. So you're really seeing what this teacher and who they are, what they're doing. It's dark. Okay, so there's the reflection. That's why the mirror is there, to show that. And so as we go through this, as they go through the praying, whatever the nonsense, okay, then is it to where this teacher gets a pillow, let's say, for a friend, and he lays down and he lays on the pillow and she puts her foot on his head? So, okay, in this experience, all right, he is getting an objective view of what's going on in the world, and basically the children of the world are being indoctrinated and taught by the dark side, which is true. We've all been raised through this. Now, the part to where he has the pillow, now the pillow, like when you sleep at night, you're asleep, is something comfortable, isn't it? It's very comforting. Like religion is very comforting. It's a place to lay your head. That's how the old saying goes. And the foot part is the physical. So if it is that is laying his head down there and has this experience with her foot on it, okay, the idea is this is a warning to him. Heads up, this is a warning to him. Because right now, he may feel good with the NUUU, but I've seen it. I've seen it before, and I've seen people have experiences where it's a future view, and it is a warning, because things can happen. I've seen it. All of a sudden, somebody dies, children, wife, family, whatever, and all of a sudden, they think that, why did this happen? I've seen it many times, and is it the real guides? Why didn't they save them? Well, why didn't they do this, or whatever? And all of a sudden, the viewpoint changes, and in comes the influence. So this is a warning to him. Heads up, to where no matter what happens here, keep the focus, because if you don't, it's bye-bye, and I've seen it. I remember one person, and that was Chris Courage. And when I first met him, more so than mostly everybody here over the years, that was probably about 10 years ago. Actually, even before Ava, if I remember right, yeah, even before Ava, Chris was on, and he had an experience too, where he was in this hotel room. After he had many experiences, he had many good side, real side experiences, but he had this one where he was in this hotel room, and the room was a mess, and it had beer bottles and whatever all over it, and a woman was there with two of her children and said to him, "Why did you do it?" And he didn't understand what the experience meant. And I said, "Chris, it's a warning. It's a future view to you." And yes, he did quit. He lost the focus. This is a warning about the focus. Very important. Very real. I've seen it many times. And all of a sudden, something will happen, especially relatives, and a person loses the focus. So the real guides can see what's coming up. And so he's also being shown that if you lose the focus, you're going to go back to that little classroom and be taught by the evil teachers. That's all you're going to have. So it's very, very real. That's a future view. That's a warning. Yeah, for everybody, because it's very real. I've seen it so many times. Something happens, especially a relative, and people start to get funny. They lose the focus. You've seen it too. And they will. So, it's taking on the challenge and developing your strength to get through this lifetime, or you lose it. And it's easy to lose it. I know. I see all this as very, very important because it's your life. It's not to be taken for granted. You lose the focus, you got nothing. You go back into this hell. And the classroom is a representation of that. In other words, you're going to go back and be stupid, and that's who's going to be your teacher. That's real. And the warning's for all of us. It's for all of us. It's just not for one person. It's like, oh, you're this or that or whatever. No, things happen to all of us here. And keeping the focus, it is hard. It is really hard. And I've went through hell and high water here, but I've kept the focus. But it is really hard, and I've seen people walk away. Something will happen, especially if a relative or somebody dies. All of a sudden, people get all upset. They get all weird. They do the funeral thing. They just go on and on and on. They just get weird with it. It's like an excuse not to focus, but they don't realize that without the focus, you got nothing. You will have nothing. And so again, this is where Rebazar told Paul, I am someone from your past. So again, you're doing it again. Wake up. It's time to wake up. And so, yes, it's very, very important. We're getting warnings all the time because you don't see what's going to happen. You're walking down the street, you're driving your car. Hey, you've got friends, relatives. You don't know what's going to happen. All of a sudden, boing, life changes. You're in a car accident, you're this or that, all of a sudden the next moment, doesn't matter about your hopes and dreams and all the things you like or whatever. But basically all of a sudden it looks like it's ruined. There was Miriam, who from Africa years ago, before you kids came, she had brought so many Africans in within a short month of time. Within a couple months, she brought about 60 Africans in. She was terrific, having all kinds of real side experiences. Then in a couple of years, the government came, took all her stuff. She was in real estate. She lost millions. Then her mother died. And then she just went away. We haven't really heard from her since. This was years and years ago. And so again, and there was another fella that was with us a whole lot. His son fell off the roof. He was 30 years old doing roofing, and then he stopped coming. Because again, why would you stop? Why would you lose the focus? Because you got nothing. Over grief, being grieved. Again, when my mother left, that was it. Not an attitude at all, because she has nothing to do with my life, with my focus, my view, what I'm presenting, and all the people that I helped raise, taught, and whatever, and I learned a lot from them. They wanted to stay as they are. I just said bye. I'm not interested because, again, there's a bigger picture. You can become like the sun shining, and then you shine upon all. Isn't that worth more than just being a little person here growing old and knowing nothing? Because this experience is showing you that if you don't keep this focus, you're going to go back to that classroom and be really stupid. It's going to be worse. That's real. Because you had it, you lost it, you gave it up. So it's for all of us. Yeah, pay attention. And so, yeah, it's very, very important. And thank you for adding that. So doesn't matter who it is, there it is. And the foot on the head, that's in the physical because it's the hardest here. And the influence, it's going to want to shove you into that pillow again. And seeing people go back to religion because they think it's comforting. And what you're seeing in that classroom is the religious ceremony, because many people do. They'll find this or they'll find Paul's teaching or something else, and then they'll go back to religion. Yeah, all of it's nothing. Yeah, very real.
Yeah, really quickly, before we start singing the NUUU, I wanted to touch upon what we were talking about or what everyone was discussing about the personal self and certain things. I had gotten this impression while everybody was sharing and going back and forth that it's really important. And again, it was kind of like ReBazaar telling me, ReBazaar, my real awareness doesn't matter. But the impression was it's important that when things happen in our personal self, to separate them, to look at them and be able to see through them and realize that it has nothing to do with our real awareness. Just like Duane had said, it's got nothing to do with our lives, in the true sense, these things that happen, like, for example, losing our real estate business, or, all these other things that can happen to us, so-called family member passing. This is all in the personal sense. And creating that comparison to your real awareness and what we see as real here, through the presentation and our own experiences that we each have. So just having that comparison and that kind of overall view to see that it's only within creation and the personal self will kind of help us stay focused, keep us focused, because again, it has nothing to do with the real awareness. So I just wanted to share that. That was a little impression that I got.